Gotta stay hydrated. Hello, my people. Today we're talking about something that I struggled with in the past and even now trying to refine and get better at. That being consistency, right? Now, consistency obviously is needed for everything. No matter what your goals are, no matter what you're trying to achieve, you're going to need consistency. Whether you're trying to get straight A's in school, build a business, build your body, or build yourself faith-wise and build a relationship with God. All things that are important, all things that require consistency to achieve. Now, consistency is something that needs to be trained. A lot of people don't know that. Some people think you're just born with it or you gain it over time. That's not how that works. It needs to be trained in a specific way to get specific results, like any other skill. Like basketball, for example. If you want to get better at basketball, you need to train in a certain way and every day. If you're training every day, but you're not training the right way, your skills aren't going to be on par with the person who is training every day and training the correct way. So what's the correct way? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. I'm going to tell you the things that have helped me to stay consistent personally. Now, we're in this together, remember? This is a journey for us both. We're both on our self-discipline journey. I'm not just here to teach you. I'm also here to learn from you. So if you have comments or things that could help me to be more consistent, that have helped you, I would greatly appreciate you commenting. Back to the video. There are two things that I have found you need to stay consistent. One of which is planning. Planning is very, very important. Without a plan, it's a lot harder to stay consistent in anything that you do. You need a plan, right? And you need a good plan, and you need to plan correctly. Number two is a change in mindset. You need to reframe your mindset in a way that you don't view work or the things you're trying to stay consistent at as work. You want to frame it in a way that you start thinking of it as fun, or you start thinking of it in a more positive light. And once you do that, it will help you to stay consistent. Today though, we're talking about planning, and we're going to get into planning. We'll talk about mindset in the next video. The reason I'm doing it in two videos is because there's a lot to know about planning and how to plan correctly. How do you create a plan that keeps you consistent on a day-by-day basis? Well, first, you need a long-term goal. Now, this seems obvious, but there's two things you need to consider when creating a long-term goal. One, what your long-term goal is and why you want to achieve it. Think about why you want this goal and who it's for. Is it for yourself or is it for other people? If it's for other people, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to truly care about this goal, and you're going to end up falling off at some point. It needs to be for yourself, not for others, or not because someone else told you should do it. It needs to be for you and something you're actually passionate about in some way, shape, or form. Number two, you need to think about the sacrifice and the work it's going to take to achieve this goal. If the reward doesn't match the work and sacrifice in your mind, you're not going to stay consistent with it. You need to understand that, and you need to recognize that you may not be willing to put in that work or be able to sacrifice the things you're going to have to sacrifice to achieve that goal. Now, once you've done these things, once you want to figure out that the goal is for yourself and not for others, and something you're actually genuinely ambitious about, and number two, that the work and sacrifice matches the reward and is worth it to you. Once you've done that, congratulations, you completed the first step. Side note, your long-term goal should be a month to a year plus to achieve, right? It shouldn't take you a week or a few days to achieve your long-term goal. That's not what a long-term goal is. It needs to be somewhat distant into the future. I also recommend having multiple long-term goals. Like for me, I have a long-term goal of getting 1,000 subscribers, being able to do a one handstand push-up, changing my life and living in a way that would please God. These are all things that take time to achieve, but they're also in different areas of my life, so they don't overlap in any way. You know, spiritually, something like I'm growing myself spiritually, physically, and I guess financially. Now I have other goals, but I'm just using these as an example. Step two, you need to have short-term goals that help you achieve your long-term goals. Using my example of hitting 1,000 subscribers beforehand, my short-term goals would be posting a long-form video 2 times a week and then posting a shorts video days in between that, right? Those things would help me achieve my long-term goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers. These short-term goals should be able to be done daily, preferably, if not weekly, and should progress you to achieving your long-term goals. Now that you've completed step 2 and you got your short-term goals, we can move on to step 3, which is scheduling. Now, scheduling can be very tedious, especially if you're like me. You don't have a consistent work or school schedule, so you got to schedule your days every single night. Now, that sounds like a lot of work, but I promise you, you get used to it, and it actually helps so much when it comes to staying consistent, right? I promise. Now, if you do have a consistent work or school schedule, I recommend scheduling things on a weekly basis. I don't recommend scheduling too far into the future because things come up and you might want to do things. Like go out with your friends here and there, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you want to be able to, you also want to schedule those things, right? So you're not out for too long, or so you can work around them and stay consistent and still follow your goals daily, right? Now I'm gonna show you on the screen how I schedule my days. I have the times and I have the actions I'm taking throughout the day. I don't leave any part of my day unscheduled. I schedule every single part because I find that that helps me to stay very consistent when I have all of my day planned out. Now you will see that my actions match the times. You shouldn't take a shower for an hour plus. You shouldn't be eating for an hour plus. It shouldn't take you that long to do certain things. You don't want to schedule your day in a way where you have a lot of free time, right? At least in my opinion, that's what helps me to stay consistent. I don't want to have a lot of free time because if I do have a lot of free time, or if I'm like an hour or two ahead of schedule, I'll end up getting distracted and I'll end up being on my phone for a certain amount of time. Why? Because I have time to spare. You don't want to have too much time to spare. It's okay to be ahead of schedule, but you don't want to be an hour or two ahead of schedule. Now, I do have a few tips for when creating your schedule. This doesn't apply to everybody, so don't get upset if you can't do it, or et cetera, et cetera. Just do it to the best of your abilities. Tip number 1, wake up as early as possible. I personally feel rejuvenated more when I wake up earlier and I go to sleep earlier. I also notice that I need less sleep. I also look at the day and I see how much time I have throughout the day, and I feel good mentally, which also helps me to stay consistent. Because, if I wake up at 12 or 1 p.m. in the morning, 1 p.m., I look at it and I'm like, I wasted so much of my day already. I wasted so much of my day sleeping. Everyone else is already awake. And, it's just something else for your mental when you wake up and everyone else is still asleep. It's starting your day right, and it's putting you on the right track to stay consistent throughout your day. Tip number 2, I recommend cleaning either at night or in the morning when you wake up, because I noticed that when I wake up or when I'm going throughout my day, my room is cluttered. I don't know if I have ADHD or something, but I get distracted very, very easy. And my mind just isn't in that clear, focused mindset of let's do this, this, and this, and let's get our day going. When I see too much clutter, it clutters my mind. I get distracted more easy, and overall, I just feel like it makes me a little bit more inconsistent. So I personally recommend having a clean room if possible. Now, my last tip for you, tip number 3, is schedule everything, right? No matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's showering, eating, working out, playing video games. Give yourself a schedule for every single thing. Pack it out. Don't leave anything unscheduled. Don't leave anything up to chance, because if you do, you leave room for distractions or entertainment, and entertainment can grasp your mind quickly, and once you get into scrolling, it holds on to you, and it can be very hard for some people to break away from that, right? Especially when you're addicted and you're already scrolling for 3-4 hours a day. I don't know if I said that was my last tip. If I did, I lied. It's not my last tip. My actual last tip is this 4th and final tip. Be specific with the things that you're doing. If you're trying to eat healthy, or if you're going to eat, write down the things you're going to eat. If you're going to work out, write down a specific plan on how you're going to work out. If it's 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, the Saitama method, write that down. Have that in your mind when you write workout for this specific time, right? The more specific, the better. I promise you, it'll help you a lot in the long run. Think about what you want to eat. Think about how you're going to work out. Think about how much time it's going to take for each subject you're going to study. Think about all these things. I promise you, you will not regret it. If you do that, you will save so much time throughout the actual day. The more specific your plan, the better. I promise. Now, at least for me personally. Now, that's pretty much all I have to say for the planning side of things. For the next video, I will talk about mentality and how you can switch your mentality in a way to keep you consistent or to make you more consistent. Now, like I said in my first video, we're in this together, all right? So I'm not here to just teach you or, to prop myself up like I'm ahead of you or I'm just better than you. I actually really appreciate any advice or tips you can give me in the comments, because I might apply them to my actual life. Other than that, that's the end of the video, and I hope to see y'all again soon. Peace out.